board, but they were just really adamant about it, and they had a lot of feelings behind it.
Well, they believed it. I don't think
I think these kind of maybe still do. I don't know.
I don't think they was making it up.
Do you think they still believe it?
I don't know.
I feel like they still believe it.
Brendan and I haven't really spoken about it much.
Yeah, I try not to talk about it either.
But I don't know. But I thought the whole thing was just...
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the new runner-up for the worst stand-up comic out there. Just recently, YouTuber Def Noodles hosted a comedy event that he had been hyping up for weeks. And to be completely honest, it was a tough watch. Also, Bobby Lee and Theo Von talk about Brendan Schaub and the entire Brendan Schaub and Bobby Lee drama. And Theo Von said something very interesting that caught my attention. And finally, Bryan Callen has finished editing his new stand-up comedy special. Surprisingly, he is not allowing Brendan Schaub to give him any bad advice. So let's take a look at that. I highly recommend you watch the entire video because there is very interesting information throughout. So let's get started. So 2 days ago, Bobby Lee went on to Theo Von's podcast, and about halfway in, they brought up the Brendan Schaub drama with Bobby Lee, and Theo Von said something very, very interesting.
But they were just really adamant about it, and they had a lot of feelings behind it.
Well, they believed it. I don't think
I think these kind of maybe still do. I don't know.
I don't think they was making it up.
Do you think they still believe it?
I don't know.
I feel like they still believe it.
Brendan and I haven't really spoken about it much.
Yeah, I try not to talk about it either.
But I don't know. But I thought the whole thing was just...
While talking about the drama between them, Theo Von said that Brendan Schaub actually believed everything that he was accusing Bobby Lee of. Here's why what he said is important, and I've actually said this on my past videos, on previous videos. If Bryan Callen and Brendan Schaub actually believe that somebody from the Tiger Belly crew had something to do with posting on their subreddit, on the Fighter and the Kid subreddit for the past 3 or 4 years, you know, posting hate and posting things trying to expose Brendan Schaub and Callen, wouldn't their reaction and the way they acted, wouldn't that be justified in a way? I mean, looking at it now, obviously it was an overreaction, and I believe the mistake was not sitting on those emotions and acting on those emotions and calling Bobby Lee right away. You know, they should have waited, thought about it, and then proceeded. But
coincidence. I did not know. You never talk about it, and you know, we're very close. But think about this. I didn't know that for 6 years you've been getting crazy, not just hate. There is a difference, guys, between hate, between making fun of somebody, and threats. Threats and harassment, long-term harassment and physical threats against somebody's family, interference in someone's business and trying to destroy someone's business. There is a very big difference between real physical and cyber threats and actual harassment, long-term harassment, and just hate and people making videos. That's all good.
Yeah,
that's all good, dude.
No, that's the internet.
That's the internet.
But
so this is what happened. So when I saw the evidence, people who are professionals that this said there is long-term harassment and essentially, you know, more than just hate coming from X, Y, Z. When I saw, I didn't make this stuff up. When I saw with my own eyes that X, some of that long-term X harassment was coming from the Tiger Belly hub, okay? And that's what I saw with my own eyes. When I saw that, I went into protection mode. So what I did was I went into protection mode, I saw red, and I assumed the worst about Bobby and about Khalyla. After speaking to Bobby, I realized, I really believe that he has nothing to do with it. I don't think he even knows anything about it. I believe him, and I said that on the phone.
But now when you look back at it, I feel like more and more people are starting to side with Brendan Schaub. Because here's the thing, I've said this also on my other videos, but there is a mutual agreement among Tiger Belly fans that any negative criticism or any negative comments towards Khalyla gets removed or gets censored on their YouTube comments or on their subreddits. But any similar hate or criticism towards Bobby Lee is allowed to stay up. Now, this is obviously a conspiracy and pure speculation, but there seems to be a bias towards protecting Khalyla's reputation and not Bobby Lee's. Here's where it gets interesting. those subreddits, the subreddits are supposed to be moderated by fans, by people that are not related to Bobby Lee or Khalyla. So there should be no bias technically. There should just be a moderator that is trying to keep the subreddit clean, not necessarily to protect Khalyla and ban and kick anybody out that says anything negative about her. So that's a bit fishy. And also, Bobby Lee asked Theo Von if Theo thought that Brendan Schaub still believed the accusations that Bobby Lee was running the subreddit. And Theo Von said, I don't know what he knows, kind of fumbled a bit, but it's very clear that obviously Brendan Schaub still believes that, because looking at it from Schaub's perspective, nothing was really said or done that would make him think otherwise. You know what I mean? There was no proof, there was nothing said that was very convincing. On the other hand, Brendan Schaub did say that as soon as he started looking into the subreddit and having people investigated and trying to find out where all the hate is coming from, one of the accounts that was, doing the most of the posting just disappeared.
But this Reddit shit with the Tiger Belly email, if we get done with this, I show it to you and you're like, it's actually this, and this, or that's not our email, whatever it is. Because the account, once I notified that it was happening, stopped posting, changed the email.
Can you say what the email was?
Sure.
Just on air. Just if I want to make sure it's our email, unless it's like.
What is our?
Also, if you look at the aftermath of the entire situation, Brendan Schaub is still doing his thing. Nothing has really changed much, besides being known by a lot more people now. Obviously, they know him for being, the worst or most hated or whatever, but he's becoming more known. On the other hand, Khalyla, things have changed quite a bit for her. I'm not even going to count the breakup with Bobby Lee as an L, because essentially, I think maybe that's what she wanted. I don't really think she's affected by it as much as you might think, so we won't even talk about that. But what has changed is how people perceive her online, how people think about her online. Because before, people were just sold on the idea that Bobby Lee was a horrible person to be around, the hardest person to be with, and that she was just doing a service and helping out Bobby Lee. And now her fans are really paying attention to what she does and seeing her for the true person that she is. And since we're already talking about most hated, let's go over Def Noodles comedy show.
You're like my cousin if you were a girl.
Thank you. I bet you cried when you got those tattoos.
I did. Are you from Detroit?
Take a guess.
No. I'm bombing so bad and I don't give a fuck.
Neither do I, bro. Come on, we in it together, doggy.
Huh?
Hey, you got
Don't
dimples
spray.
too. That's what's up.
Uploading your stand-up comedy to YouTube is a bit risky, especially if you're a beginner stand-up comic. And well, streaming it live on Twitch, I think is probably the worst idea possible. And well, that's exactly what YouTuber Def Noodles just did and has been doing for the past couple of weeks. According to the comments and the feedback online, the show was a complete disaster. It was horrible. And to be completely honest, it was cringe. Although the audience in the show was very nice and supportive of the show, of Def Noodles, everybody else tore Def Noodles apart for essentially bombing at his own comedy show. And the truth is, you gotta give props to anyone that has the guts to get up on stage and perform a stand-up set in front of strangers. But what Def Noodles is doing is completely different. He essentially is inviting fans or people that want to see him for whatever reason, putting them in a room and then performing in front of them. It's weird. It's obviously, I'm not a comic, but I do love comedy, and some of the best bits out there are crafted over years and years and years of stage time in front of strangers, because that's essentially how you know if a joke is truly funny, is by performing it in front of different people, not people that are there to see you. Well, once he posted that online, huge YouTuber, massive YouTuber, Moist Critical, decided to show millions and millions of his fans just how cringy Def Noodles is. To say the least, he really went in on Def Noodles, and well, Noodles did not like that at all. He responded himself with a video that took a bit of a weird route. And here's the thing, you can tell Def Noodles definitely has a personality to be a YouTuber, whatever that means nowadays, but his head is somehow in the wrong place at the moment, because he made the decision to upload the video online, a roast battle online, so he should be able to take criticism and get roasted online. For 1 second, I actually thought that this could only benefit Def Noodles because Charlie has a massive 11.2 million subscribers. It's insane. But after looking at Def Noodles' videos, the comments, the feedback, even after getting exposure from Moist Critical, the feedback and the comments are not the greatest. They're not the best. So I don't really know if this whole situation is going to benefit him at all whatsoever. And last but not least, Bryan Callen has finally finished editing his new comedy special, which I believe he said was going to be about 48 minutes. Now, the interesting thing is, if you guys remember, he said he was going to release it independently, which I think he means, directly on his YouTube page. However, I haven't seen any advertising, any marketing, any promotion for the special at all, which makes me think, is he really going to self-release it, or is he just going to sell it to a company? Because he is doing zero promotion for his special compared to what Brendan Schaub was doing before the Gringo Poppy dropped. I mean, that was all he would talk about for weeks. The thing is, surprisingly, Bryan Callen is a funny stand-up comic and he's been doing it forever. So it'll be interesting to see what his new material looks like and then see the aftermath of it. Because if he truly self-releases a special, wouldn't it be very interesting if he gets blessed by the YouTube algorithm, he releases a special and then just blows up? Wouldn't that be just poetic justice? Because if you guys don't remember, back then, Brendan Schaub actually somehow convinced Bryan Callen to not release his comedy special through a big streaming company because Bryan Callen's style of comedy was different, whatever that means. So then Bryan Callen didn't do that. He instead released it some other place with a horrible Fighter and the Kid merch bundle or whatever. And then Brendan Schaub literally did a comedy special for Showtime. The irony is that Bryan Callen actually advised Brendan Schaub not to do this special, to not do the deal. But of course, Brendan Schaub thought that Bryan Callen was just being a hater, and so he didn't listen to him. And as we all know, this ended up biting Brendan Schaub in the ass and affecting his comedy career forever. Because for now, in the future, and forever, Brendan Schaub's first comedy special will be remembered as one of the worst comedy specials out there.